Chief Growth Officer for a new company. We launched in January. We started as 2 team members, the owner and myself. We are getting ready to add our 4th team member. Our gross revenue is 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
And we did very modest salaries, and we've just been sort of hoarding money all year because we were sort of unsure what all of our expenses were. The question is, how do we structure profit sharing from like a bonus standpoint as we add team members going into next year specifically? I would like to do it on a monthly or quarterly basis, but our income is a little unpredictable. So I'm a little nervous, and I wanted to get your advice.
Okay. You've not had any, well, I mean, once you got past the startup phase, are you going to have any months that have 0 profit?
We should not have any months with 0 profit.
Okay.
We
good.
should not.
Okay, good. All right. And I don't necessarily, if you got 4 people and you all are participating in the profits, I don't know that you have to add every employee to profit sharing when a company is this small. You can if you want to, but I don't feel obligated to do that at this stage. You could run it a while and get it a little larger before you start worrying about that. But what we do and what has worked well for us is we simply close the books at the end of the month, and we know what the profit was for pick a month. We'll call it March. Okay? So we close the books at the end of March, so we know what the profit was for March. And by the way, if there's profit, that money should be in the checking account, right? Okay. And so then we have pre-decided before that what percentage of each month's profits are going to be distributed to each person. And so if Eileen gets 5% of the profits, then whatever the profits were for March, she's going to get 5%, and we pay that out on the 15th of the month following. So if we close March's books at the end of March, April 15th, Eileen would see 5% of March's profits in her check. That puts the company in no cash flow bind. And if the profits are slim because it's one of the down months, because there's some cyclical things, then your 5% is going to be 5% of not much. Or if it was a great month because of timing and all the checks hit and not many of the expenses hit, so the profits are huge, you're going to get 5% of an artificially high profit number, but it's a real profit number. It's just not going to be that way every month. So you don't have to smooth it out. You can just go, this is what the freaking profits were. And we're going to share 5% of that. Now, we're doing that with Ramsey with hundreds and hundreds of team members. So we don't go on stage and go, this is the amount of profit dollars-wise we made. We go on stage and say, our profits are up 14% over last month. They're up 22% over this month last year. And this is and there's this many people participating in profit sharing, which is 5 more than it was last month, or 5 less than it was last month. So the team is looking at it going, oh, profits are better than last month. My check last month was X, so it's going to be a little better than X this month. But they don't know exactly what their percentages are because we don't share their percentages.
Right. Okay. And we do have some cyclical things. Like we have year-long contracts that are paid to us typically in 2 payment installments or maybe 3 payment installments.
But you actually get the cash.
We do get the cash, but we also have forward expenses. And so do we just hold some of that back and just
you should put that in, you should put in your P&L before you calculate profit any investment that you need to do in the future. And so if we've got a piece of equipment that we're buying, let's say it's $1 million piece of equipment, we're setting aside $100,000 a month for 10 months to do that. That comes out as an expense before we calculate this profit number.
Okay.
And then that sets that $100,000 over there each month as a little sinking fund. And after 10 months, we've got the money to buy the $1 million piece of equipment. Or if we've got a contract that we've got some contracted software as a service stuff that we do that we have to pay annually or we pay semi-annually. And we know that we got this big check we got to write in August, or in January or whatever the date is, then we have to back out and go cash flow wise, we're going to start taking that out because we don't want to have this, we don't want to get hit and not have the cash in the bank because we've been distributing profits.
Exactly. Yeah, that's been my concern, is just making sure that we have everything we need already allocated.
And you also ought to, before you calculate this, you ought to be setting some money aside for retained earnings in general.
Yes, I do have that. Yes.
Okay. So you got retained earnings, and then you've got systematized planning for upcoming expenses. And so, like for instance, we go EntreLeadership Summit. We're going to Disney in May. And so that's a huge expense month. We're going to be writing old Disney a bunch of checks, right? And so we got a big income month leading up to that, but we also got this big expense down there. So we can't just destroy EntreLeadership's profits in a singular month or have the best year ever in a single month either. All that kind of stuff. So we have to do some smoothing with that, and that's done simply by, we're going to set aside each month towards this upcoming expense that's very predictable because it's freaking contracted. We're going to get it, or we're going to have to give it, one of the two, whatever it is, right? So you're setting that money aside. So really good question, Eileen. Very cool. Congratulations on your early and quick success. Hope it continues and doubles and triples and rocks on, man. Good stuff.